It's the Daily Talk Show, episode 645.
Happy Sunday, guys. What's going on?
In Victoria, lots of things are happening. There's just been an official statement about lockdown.
Well, official statement that requires a follow-up statement, which is weird because the state of Victoria is going into lockdown, but no one really knows what it means. And so this is a statement, which I'll read to you. This is from the Premier, the Honourable. Imagine if you had that in front of your name, Josh. The Honourable.
What do you got to do to...
I wonder if it is just premiers. Can you look that up, Sebs? How do you get the Honourable? Because I want it. We all want it.
I think if you actually finish a whole chicken parma within 3 minutes.
Yeah. There's a chicken parma up in Echuca, I think it is, called Parmageddon. And it's the body weight of you and I put together.
It's heavy.
How many chickens?
This is not the official statement, by the way.
No. All right, here we go. Statement from the Premier. I will inform National Cabinet tonight that Victoria will proceed over the next 48 hours to implement a shutdown of all non-essential activity across our state to combat the spread of coronavirus. This is not something that we do lightly, but it's clear that if we don't take this step, more Victorians will contract coronavirus. Our hospitals will be overwhelmed and more Victorians will die. Victoria will still be able to go to will still be able to go to the supermarkets, the bank, the pharmacy and other essential stores like petrol stations and convenience stores. Freight, logistics and home delivery also considered essential and will remain open. I will inform National Cabinet that school holidays will be brought forward in Victoria starting on Tuesday, the 24th of March. All measures to be implemented by Victoria, consistent with the health advice provided by the Victorian Chief Health Officer. The decision whether to reopen schools after the Term 1 holidays will likewise be determined following advice from the Chief Health Officer. I'll have more to say on the measures tomorrow morning. So they're saying that what are the essential... He's kind of said roughly mentioned what the essential services are, but they have done an edit in the caption and said, please note we are waiting on a confirmed list of essential services.
I mean, it's interesting that they've said they're moving school holidays forward because it's really just shutting down schools, right? Just by saying moving it forward, all of a sudden it takes a little bit of the sting, potentially.
Yeah, I understand that.
Trying not to freak out kids, maybe.
But Josh, you said to me over text that you were feeling agitated speaking to somebody who wasn't taking it seriously. And I was listening to Sam Harris's latest podcast where he said that he's been feeling like that while speaking to people, some of his close friends that aren't taking it seriously. And I'm in the same boat. I've caught the bug. Yeah. Which is I don't have coronavirus.
The irritable, the less deadly, irritable dude. Not happy that his mates not following his advice.
Yeah, I'm infuriated by some of these people.
Yeah,
I just, because there's one thing to be listening to fake news, and there's another thing to be informed by very smart people. And most of my friends aren't the very smart people that I'm being informed by. Like, you know what I mean? It's just...
Yeah, I saw a funny meme, which was like, I don't know who to believe. I'm hearing two different stories, one from, the world leading doctors and the other, some dude I went to school with,
Everything changed for me when I read the article last night by John somebody. I sent it to you guys. Have you read it? Have you done your homework?
I don't think you did send it to us.
I sent it in a Slack. I sent it to it and I said, you have to read this article.
ABC.
I had read that. Yeah.
John Daly.
Mm-hmm.
John Daly. Dude, John, he's got his head screwed on. I want John as my friend that I listen to. John laid out 3 endgame, or you could look at them as scenarios, or
it's
how
not
this
John
will...
Daly, the golfer, is it?
No.
Okay.
No.
John Daly, the golfer. Up. I just Googled because John Daly is
a famous
golfer real quirky dude. If you go on Google Images, you've got to
Donald
look
Trump
at him.
looking.
John Daly, isn't he fat? He's like the best golfer. Oh no,
Yeah,
he is. He's got a big. He looks like Shane Warne, just in
Shane
the.
Warne's
Shane
fat.
Warne times Donald Trump.
Yeah,
It'd be like if Shane Warne because Shane Warne got ripped, or he got a lot of surgery, or he went down a health kick after being the guy that smokes and drinks beers after a game of cricket, professional. He looks like, Shane Warne just went hard for another 30 years.
My favorite photo, you've got to Google John Daly. Everyone's got time now. But just the photos of him having a ciggy whilst playing golf. He's a very eccentric guy, and he wears the most outrageous pants, including the American flag pants.
I mean, golf's one of the things that you can be not in the best of nick, but still be an absolute weapon.
Yeah.
Like, it's just all in the form. No, but back to that article, the end game, like this John Daly, the non-golfer John Daly, he lays out three end games. One's pretty much how we've been tackling it and how that ends up, and then 2 and 3, and 3 end game C, which he calls it, A, B, and C. End game C is a complete shutdown of Australia for the next 8 to 12 weeks, which I'm 100% in support of.
I'm glad you are, Tommy. Official
Thanks,
official word from you.
No,
statement.
I was thinking about, like, you see people. I haven't posted anything on social media. I guess, if you think about it, not everyone has a podcast that they do every day.
Sure.
This is that version for me. And I made the decision that I want to make my words known.
Oh, that's good. That's great.
But I don't know where we go from here. What do we do now?
Well, I was just watching beforehand, before the podcast, the AFL CEO.
Gil?
So is Gil, is that Hamish's...
Yeah, you've met Hamish. We've filmed
Hamish
before.
McLaughlin. Because I'm like, man, they sound exactly the same. Man,
Dude.
They've got the same last name.
It's his bro.
Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, seems
Just
like a lovely guy.
Power brothers.
And so, very obviously sad looking as they had to cancel or postpone the AFL until the 31st of May.
I just don't know what planet they were living on Thursday when they announced that we're going to push on. Like,
well, think about it this way. What they're saying is they were speaking to the person who's, the minister, not the Minister for Health, but the person who's responsible in this time at that sort of federal level. And the recommendations were to go on until further notice. And so the thing is, if you're running a business, if you have a bunch of stakeholders, all that sort of thing, we're in a lucky position where, as a small business, you and I make the decision.
Yeah.
We don't have hundreds of employees, and it doesn't, although it impacts us, it's not the difference between surviving not only as a business, but as an industry. And so the AFL are looking at okay, this is a huge impact, not just to the AFL, but then as we've had Gronk Glenn from Florida, who does all of the sports stats and things like that, those businesses, they had huge layoffs.
Yeah. Look, and when I say I'm all for shutting it down for 8 to 12 weeks, I mean, I get the implications it's going to have on the economy. But if you look at the health implications it's going to have on Australia, there's no economy. There's 45,000 people that will end up with coronavirus.
But that's why it's the government's job to intervene, because it's very hard. I think it's a lot to ask for these bigger businesses when they're not being told by the government to do it. I mean, the thing was, we were inside, working from home, self-isolating, whilst people were still out and about, like nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And so that was an easy choice for us. But
old mate John made a good point. It's like, at least end game C, everyone understands. If you knew that for 8 weeks, like, you put into your diary and it's like it could be 12, but you put it into your diary and you batten down the hatches for 8 weeks and you deal with it. But at least you'd know how, and they would have time to start tracking and start, just having it slow a bit, hopefully. And so
the one thing that I'm curious about is, will I get my fancy mat?
Oh, did you buy one?
Yeah.
Business expense or
No.
I think Ozpost is still going ahead.
So Ozpost is still going ahead. That's under essential services. Interestingly, I was listening to a podcast with a guy who's in California, and he was saying that even though they're in lockdown, podcasting is considered an essential service.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
I guess communications.
Like news and stuff, similar to that.
What was that? Sorry, Sebs?
Like news and stuff.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, they're doing technology news, but yeah, the good thing about what we're doing is that we can do it without it being, impact us. By the way, Lisa's saying in the chat, we need footy right now. So many will be lost without it.
Yeah.
Yes, Lisa, but better be lost than dead. And she also said, love the plant life at Mason's house. Mace, what's the deal with the watering situation? How do you make sure that one, you get enough water, and two, that you don't get it waterlogged and it fuck your shelf?
Well, so all of them have a little container in the bottom, like a little plastic tray at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to spill everywhere, but we've got this worm juice. We've got a little like compost bin with worms.
I beg your pardon? A what? A worm?
We've got a worm farm. And so their piss is called worm juice. And so if you dilute that with a bit of water, I get like a milk bottle worth. And just like put it.
You get a milk bottle worth of worm juice.
Dilute
it down. So there's like I don't know, like that much, and then you dilute
20 to
it.
1.
Yeah, and then I just go around and maybe once a week I probably water them. But you gotta test them.
Dude, how about this? AU79, our favorite cafe, Abbotsford. They have. It's where we did our EP 500. They've got like a forest. If that cafe closes for the foreseeable future, based on this. Who's watering the plants?
Yeah.
There's a lot of plants got to die.
This is true.
I mean, I've been thinking about all of those, just the flow on effects, all the impact. And so anyway, today, guys, I'm sorted. I called Josh today and said, mate, can I put something on the business? I was like,
which only you can do because you promise that you create content.
Well, we can write it off as a production expense.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be, not sure when, it could be some night this week or some day this week. I reckon we do it at night, JJ.
It has to be at night. Yeah.
It has to be at night. I bought a fire pit and I've bought wood and I've bought chairs for out the back, and I'm going to do a campfire episode. So it's like we're at home, we're doing a campfire, and I'll have my laptop out there. I'll have my good mic. And it'll all be set up, and we can.
It sounds annoying logistically for you.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, look, one episode, I'm happy to do it.
It's the actual setup that's annoying.
It is.
You almost want to do
annoying,
a few episodes, but that's what you bought into.
But Lisa's pumped about the campfire app. I know Grace will be there. Not everyone can do. I mean, yeah.
Can we do it? Oh no!
If you've got a fire at home,
drink.
But if you've got a fire at home, you could do a fire, have your YouTube going on your phone. And we do a campfire episode. I know Josh, you could get up on a screen in your apartment.
Yeah.
A beautiful campfire.
Projector would be great. Like imagine, have you got a Hills hoist? You've got a line like.
Just a one that lifts up like a.
I can imagine you could get a sheet and project onto the sheet, everyone. That would be cool. Harim.
So you keen on that? You keen on that?
Yeah, I'm definitely keen.
Great.
But so you just need to get. I mean, I see the challenge.
Yeah.
Harim's in Colombia. He's saying we're quarantined until April 13. What can small businesses do? Video production services. Big fan.
Is that a question? Do you think it's a question?
I think being in video production, we can speak to it a little bit. I think it is pretty challenging if you are sort of a traditional cinematographer who does their, day rate and is booked out every single day, and they're an owner of a Red or something like that. You're doing big TVC stuff. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
But I'm already seeing people in this space do interesting things like providing education online, building communities. I think it's a good time for people who have existing communities as well.
Yeah.
But there's obviously a move at the moment to streaming, and obviously the thought around post-production, because you can do that from anywhere.
Yeah.
But I think like in the grand scheme of things, the video production industry, compared to many other industries, we're actually probably a little bit luckier than many.
Yeah. Well, you can definitely see the in the future the opportunities in terms of when we're on the comeback, which we don't know how long they'll be. But it's tough. I spent half an hour speaking with my bro just about how long he's got, how much cash he's got to last, and the reality is not many people have a runway of 3 months to.
And even if you have a runway, you can't fly the plane anymore.
Yeah, grounded. You're not going anywhere. But I think it's beyond that. I'm not even looking at personal runway because it is a flow-on effect. If I can't pay my rent, the mortgage can't be paid on the other side. The bank doesn't get their cash. If you can buy the fireplace
through the business, you're pretty good too.
Mate.
Everything's become a business expense.
Yep.
Yes.
Everything is. Oh yeah, we could claim rent. We could actually on our own personal tax, kind of rent.
That'll be interesting. I mean, yeah, they'll definitely. I'm finding it hard to navigate and understand all of these measures that are being put in place by the government, or like tax incentives and tax credits and things like that. So we definitely need to get Jason from RBK.
Yeah.
So
we had a chat with our accountant, Zoom call on Wednesday. Since that, there's been about 3 announcements.
Yeah.
And
$66 billion, I think, in extra.
Support.
Support.
I think there's, for small business owners that aren't rocking an accountant where they're high touch point and they will be able to offer them the services. Yeah, let's get him on, because I think about, Josh, when you were a freelancer in the early days, like myself, and we didn't have an accountant that we could go to constantly and they would give us time, every week. Our accountant will be lodging everything for us, and that's not everyone's situation. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to be able to help people understand how to get the cash from the government, how to lodge this stuff, how to find out what they're eligible for.
Yeah. Lisa said I'd come for the barbie, but I'm stuck in Radelaide. You can actually cook on the fireplace, can't you?
Nah,
Bearded Fence says I'll put on a barbie.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's what
that bit.
Yeah. Breyer. Yeah. Breyer, Barbie. I know it's slightly different. No, Josh, I opted for the one. So I said to Josh, mate, do you because I got no cash. We get paid soon, but I've got no cash.
We get paid today, by the way.
Tomorrow.
Okay, I got my Cal invite today. Anyway, we can take that offline.
Unless we want to go over,
we can go through it here. Yeah,
I will pay it through today, which it should come through either tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, perfect.
All right,
great.
You happy with that?
Yeah, that's good.
But so I had no cash and I wanted to run it, and I asked Josh, can I put it through?
Yeah.
And I was just reading out a few prices of them, and what I love about you, Josh, you're not afraid to spend money. Because you said, oh, look, under $200 is pretty good. I was like, holy shit.
I think that buy once, buy right,
Yeah.
I mean, your word is quality, so.
Yeah, it's all about quality this year, very much so.
So I almost went for quantity over quality, because what I ended up doing was, rather than spending 170, JJ, I spent 140 total. I got a smaller fireplace, fire pit, which I'm happy about, because the other one would have been almost the size of my courtyard. And I got wood and 4 seats for 140. So
isn't that pretty?
That's winning.
I think it would be better. I was expecting you to bring your own wood, like to cut it down or to have something a little bit.
No. So just to get me started, I got 2 packs of wood, some kindling, and some logs. So this week Adventure Club Adventure Club is Bodie and I, by the way. We'll be going to the local park to get lots of kindling, lots of stuff that fell down when there was a windy day, probably about 2 months ago, and there's just shit everywhere. So we'll be going to collect little bits of wood, which will see us through for at least.
Could we do some tutorials, some life tutorials? I think that I would love to see you doing a fire, but one of those reverse, I think they're called upside down fires.
What is
Heard
that?
about this?
Upside
down fires are, I think they're more effective.
Oh yeah. So it'd be like you lay a log, running sort of left to right, and then the next lot of wood is running from you sort of where you've laid it to the other side. And it's almost like if you can see my hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just like a, what do you call that?
Yeah, yeah. It's
It's
almost
like
like
it's a crosshatch sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you sort of layer it up, and then
Is that an oxygen thing? Because it lets more oxygen in.
Yeah.
I just got a text from Bree, who's in the other room. She said that she's going to her office. So she's going to the office right now. So
to our office?
No, to her office. So this is one of the things around all of this stuff is fulfillment of orders. So if things are changing over the next 48 hours, I guess business, and that's why I was worried about my mat that I'm getting delivered.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone sort of is hands on deck to make sure that they can get as many orders done so that they can be delivered.
Yeah. Well, I think the unknown again is the scary bit. And
so I wonder what happens. Just imagine how many tense conversations there are with people. So for instance, if you're employed, what's the expectation for you in the coming days?
Well, I think, what did I say in that statement? It was 48 hours, which gives us until Tuesday. So that means they're giving us tomorrow to sort our shit out. And if you can't get it sorted in that time.
How hectic is it going to be tomorrow?
Yeah. Oh, imagine Officeworks.
Mate,
like we thought it was busy last week.
I'm so pumped that we did that last week.
Mm.
We got out, we were a week ahead somewhat.
Yeah.
In this whole thing. It's what a weird time, man.
How are you going, Sebs, with your internet?
Oh, we're getting there. I went out today and I got some new hardware from a company called Ubiquity.
Mm-hmm.
So I was almost done setting it up before we started recording, but I had to unplug it all and plug in my cheap router.
Were people respecting the social distancing? Like, were people keeping distances and things like that?
In store?
Yeah.
No. Well, look, no, not in the line. The queue was massive. So we drove all the way out to Sunshine to go pick it up. And the queue there was massive. It would have been 20, 25 meters long.
The computer shop?
Yeah, inside the computer shop, just lined up against the wall.
And did you, because I asked when Sevs and I the Monday just gone, we spent all day driving around grabbing stuff, which was great. Mm-hmm. I asked most of the places we went to, what are you selling? What's the high demand? And it was screens. It was monitors. So what do you reckon they were selling, Sevs?
Computers and monitors. Definitely monitors.
Dude, when it's leaving your Christmas shopping till late is horrible. Leaving your pandemic fucking lockdown shopping till late. That's the pits, bro.
Definitely. I saw something. Jeff Bezos did an Insta post, and I appreciated what he said because everyone's saying, it's business as usual. His first line was like, "It's not business as usual."
No,
it's always funny. It's like business as usual. However, here are the 15 different. It's business as usual, but now we can't speak in person. You have to order in your car and then go in and be 2 meters away.
Yeah,
it is funny how people are. There was a great post around hoarding. I've got to find out who posted about it, but it was essentially, why do people hoard? And so looking at, say, the things around the toilet paper and stocking up on different items, hoarding is something that's done based on a psychological condition or something that's happening to us psychologically where we feel like we need to be feeling safe or trying to be in control. And so if you think about the last 10 days, how much of all of our purchases have been about the anxieties around the future and also trying to have a little bit of control and thinking about, if I don't get this now, does this mean in 4 weeks' time I'm lining up for 5 hours to try and get some toilet paper.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that I can feel it in myself too. It's you read a statement like that from the Honourable and you think, fuck, I got to get down the shops.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I then say, the shops aren't closing. The supermarket's not closing. Today, everyone's shit, I got to get down the shops. That's their thinking. So don't go down the shops today unless you have nothing. Then maybe go down the shops. Harry, go to the shops.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think? What's been the surprise for both of you around what you've been thinking about that you never thought you would have been thinking about?
You go first, Sez. Give me time to think.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't
because
because I've never been through, I guess, this sort of stuff. It's interesting observing my reaction and the people around me, their reactions to everything that's happening. And I don't think that the whole idea around like a pandemic and a spread of a virus, I've never even thought about that. So that's probably the first thing. But yeah, I mean, I guess just like analyzing the way that the people around me are doing what they're doing and, you know, going out and buying stuff or panic buying, all that sort of stuff, I think is a brand new sort of thought.
And have you, what is your actual thought behind it? Has it changed over the last 10 days?
Yeah, I mean, I've probably become more empathetic to the people that are panic buying. At the start, it's more just like, oh, it's this sort of silly thing, and what's the point, and why are you doing it? And now I guess it starts to make more sense. But I guess there's
you're
still
on your
that
final
sort of...
roll of toilet paper, and you're like, I fucked up.
Now, Chem Rick's got it sorted. He's
really,
he's really dialed in.
Surely Costco. I mean, I could only imagine what Costco's like at the moment. Haven't heard any reports, but I wouldn't want to touch it based on bulk purchasing.
Oh my God, I saw a video earlier in the week. Costco Epping, which is next to the Northern Health Hospital, where they're treating people. The line was 400 meters to get in. Like,
really?
Like it's not that people aren't going. Like, people are going there. Everyone's going everywhere. Everyone's going to country town. People are going to country towns that don't live in that town. Ryan John, who we're going to hopefully have on the show this week, remote.
Yeah, he went to 15 stores and got 100 toilet paper just for himself.
No, he fucking drove down to his mum's place to pick up toilet paper.
Really?
His mum lives right near me. And so he lives an hour and a half away from us.
He was busting to do a shit the whole time, I heard.
He spent 3 hours just to get some bog roll. What have I been thinking about? I've been thinking about, I went real dark there. I went from thinking about, my answer was going to be money and living in, and so removing, so we can all be worrying about cash at the moment. And it's like, if I don't go to work tomorrow, I don't have enough sick leave to eat into, you know, like, so I have to, and so it's like, it's looking at what does life look like with zero money, like fuck all money. Like, money's not the worry. It's like survival and being up against something that is super dangerous is more of the concern over how much cash do we have, how much like when we were all brought back down to a level playing field, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And then
it feels like there's something, as you said, much bigger than all of that.
Yeah. And so I've been thinking about having no cash, like having nothing to my name and everyone in the same boat. And what does that existence look like? And so and then where's our focus go to if it has been around, you know, worrying about money so much? It's like, you just have none. And we're trying to look for government. Like, what does that existence look like for our mind and for our culture and for our society, like for our society? But then I went to thinking about, I don't think about this much, but the older people in my life, my parents, and this affecting them. And so, you know, you can get pretty emotional thinking about like my mum's 70, they're fit and healthy, but still they're of the older population that are affected by this. And so that is something, I think they're new thoughts that you don't have just week to week. Because you're not, if they're, my parents are fit and healthy, but then if there's something like this, it's like you throw that in the mix, and then that brings a whole new thought pattern, which is you almost don't want to enter it. You almost don't want to go there. But what about you, JJ?
Yeah, I think I heard someone say the other day around it feels like we're living out what will one day be in the history books. And I feel that. I feel it's like, the big things in history that we look back on. It's like, man, we can't imagine a time where there was the Nazis or there was, world wars or things like that. And we're only, within Australia, a few weeks in, very, very early stages of all of this stuff. And so I think that what I'm thinking about is how this will change everything. And I hope that the way that the change does happen is in a positive way where we look to the people stuff, the human side of life, because I think that that's, as we're starting to have to self-isolate and, socially distance or whatever you want to call it, all of a sudden you're starting to realize those really small things in your life. So for Bree, it's her appreciation of being able to go to the gym every morning, which I know that for a lot of people, that's the thing. And, I think that hopefully we walk away with an extra level of gratitude for all of these things that we have.
Yeah, for the things that are super easy in our life, or you don't ever have that thought process.
Yeah. It's interesting. And yeah, I guess the other thing too is it's a real interesting game in attachment to things.
Yeah, and so, ambition.
Yeah. And so you hear comedians talking about, Lewis Spears, who I've had on the show before, he was talking about, I had my 18-month game plan sorted. I was doing the comedy shows, which would then get my, what's it called? Live, like recording all of these, special, then do the overseas trip and perform there. And it's like, that's all been wiped out for him. And so when we think that we have so much control, when we think that we're so smart and that we're going to nail the game, when the game changes all of a sudden, I think that it can be a humbling experience for a lot of people.
Yeah. If you can have this self-awareness or the self-analysis on how silly worrying about mundane shit in the past is in a time like this, it's comforting. I was at the psychologist this week, and I was saying, the whole reason I wanted to go was some hard time that just I felt like I was dealing with earlier on, which was nothing really. It was just, it was just life that just feels hard at the time. But then it's like, it gets to this and it feels like, it seems like it should be the harder time, but I don't feel that right now.
I think maybe does it not feel like, for me, it doesn't feel as hard because there is sort of a global or universal goal that we're all working towards. And so I feel like most of the tension within my life is I have an idea of the direction that I think we should go in, and then someone else has a different direction. And that happens within business, that happens within personal life. And so with this, we sort of do have that universal need at this one point, which I feel like it actually is bringing us all together.
Mate, the grind is done. Like, think about the grind, the business grind, the ambitious grind to achieve your goals, and all that shit. Right now, the grind is over, and it's a different focus. I haven't watched any. Like, has Gary V? Have you seen any content coming?
I don't know.
No.
Like, I feel like he's a maniac who's quite self-aware, but seems outrageous at times.
He's still at garage sales, he's buying as many stuff.
But I think, mate, Gary V's VaynerMedia.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy has a challenge ahead of him. I feel for the bloke. It's hundreds of staff.
A lot
It's
of redundancies.
a lot of his clients. I mean, just the economy is stopping. New York City is stopped.
Yeah. And I do, and you and I have spoken about this, but the idea around people trying, I understand, especially I understand it in places like the fitness industry, because that's been, massively disrupted. And I've seen so many owners of gyms and things like that doing online courses and like moving all of that and just completely shifting their business from something that's all in person to something that's completely online. But it is hard to watch, to see everyone trying to pivot, and I do wonder. I think that it's harder for some industries to do it more than others, but I think that it can be difficult for some of those.
Yeah.
Grace says, so true, TJ, our priorities have shifted and it's making us all consider everyone around us more.
Definitely.
It's, I mean, the core need of community. How do you fulfill that? Like a lot of people, as much as if you're a, homebody, there is still some community you want to feel a part of, whether it's your besties from school or people at the gym that you get to see, like extroverts, introverts, whatever. It's like we need to feel like we belong. And so that, I mean, this is just the time. It's all shifting. And so I feel, like I said yesterday, this podcast, I hope people can feel like that. And I'm inspired by showing up daily and not doing it pre-recorded. If one of us is sick or like we can drop in or whatever it be, but we can do it remote. So it's that's what I'm grateful for that.
Definitely. It's a daily talk show. We should definitely start messaging the VIP Gronks when we're going live. Can we start doing that?
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
So if you want to become a VIP Gronk, you just go to thedailytalkshow.com/Gronks. I've gone through and we had about 60 different people that we're sending stickers to from all over the world. And I've nearly finished. I've been handwriting. I thought I would get this done in,
you thought it'd be done in a
2
couple
hours.
of hours.
I thought it was 2 hours, and then I just
definitely not.
It takes a long time.
One thing we didn't buy, JJ, was stamps. Have you got stamps?
No, so I was just thinking of at the post office. That's an essential service. So I'll just go in and I've separated international versus domestic, and I'll just be like, guys, what does it cost? I've got a limit of 200. That's my go-to. It's under 200, it's a go.
Nah, but you need to get a good deal. Lisa said I got a good deal. So
is it a good deal? It's pretty small, to be honest.
My fire pit.
Yeah.
What do you need? What do you need? What are you making up for with a big fire pit, bro?
No. I just felt like, who's that? Lucky you've only got a very small family, because I reckon
it wouldn't keep many people warm.
Yes, a small backyard. It makes sense for how big my backyard is. It's tiny.
Interestingly, I was talking to Scooter Derek. His kids had one of their friends had a birthday party. And it was all remote, and they had
that's fun.
But they did have a cake, but it was a bit of a nightmare because he lit the candles for the cake, and then they sung Happy Birthday. He's like, hang on, you can't blow them out because coronavirus. So he had to. It was a bit of a clusterfuck. He burnt his hand removing the candles. So, So there's a lot of.
Wasn't everyone remote?
That's the bit that I didn't understand. There must have been.
He could have blown it out.
No, but if he has a family there, he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, so it must have been for whatever reason he was in charge of the cake.
Yeah, no, I get it. Think about it, you can't lick your fingers and then.
Oh yeah,
can't do that because you've touched it. I don't know. What's going on?
Anyway, it's a daily talk show. Tomorrow we've got Shannon Kennedy on the show.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Didn't even know that.
10 a.m.
I mean, we've got it in a calendar, but.
And so she's been doing the whole remote thing for like 20 years. So she'll have a lot to say, I reckon, about that. A lot of insights. Otherwise, see you tomorrow, guys. Have a good one.